Hello everyone, once again welcome back to my kitchen, and as promised last week, today I'm going to prepare goat biryani. Here I already have some water boiling to boil the rice. It has garam masala whole, so cardamom, cloves, bay leaf, cinnamon stick, mace, and some salt. And this afternoon I already marinated. It's about 250 grams of lamb with fried onion, ginger garlic paste, saffron, sweet eater, which you can get mostly in Indian specialty store, and garam masala powder, chili powder, and of course the yogurt. I have some fried potato ready here because in Calcutta, back home, it is impossible to make biryani without potatoes. So I have some potato here, I have some ginger garlic paste, mint, salt, chili powder, ghee, sweet eater, rose essence, which we are going to use later. If you don't have rose essence, you can use rose water. Garam masala powder, whole garam masala. So before we start, we are cooking the biryani in actually 2 or 3 steps to be precise. First, I'm going to half cook the goat meat in the pressure cooker, and the rice will be almost like 80% cooked in by boiling the rice. The basmati rice have been soaked for almost like 4 hours now, washed a couple of times, just to ensure that the rice doesn't stick after boiling. You don't want your rice to stick when you're making biryani or pulao. So what I will do now, I will tip in the basmati rice. So I strain off excess water, and there it goes. Now I bring it up to boil, and in the meanwhile I start with the preparation of the goat. So I have a spoon of ghee straight in the pressure cooker. As the story goes, biryani was basically a one-pot meal meant only for the workers who were building the mosques in Lucknow. Just for your information, the way I'm going to do it today is the way we do in Calcutta, which again originated from Lucknow, which again came from some parts of Iran or Iraq, as people used to call it Persia before. So once the ghee is hot, I'm going to add some garam masala whole. In Lucknow, you don't call it biryani, as many people say, they call it pulao. So the ginger garlic paste. But keep in mind, we don't need to add a lot of ginger garlic paste because the goat has already been marinated. The additional ginger garlic paste is just to add some flavor. But since we add especially garlic, it burns very easily, so you have to make sure that it doesn't burn. I was watching a video a couple of years ago. Rick Stein, if you know him, is a British chef. He was in India for about 6 months or 3 months, and he had all his videos from everywhere around India. So when he goes to Lucknow, there's this chef who's preparing the pulao, and they're saying that in Lucknow we don't have biryani, we have pulao. We have biryani in other parts of India, Hyderabad for example. They're famous for their kachi biryani or pakki biryani, whatever you would like to call it. Because the pulao or biryani, as we say in Calcutta, is aromatic, whereas in southern parts of India you will see biryani is quite spicy. There's a lot of spices, to the extent of having tomatoes, which we don't add in northern parts of India. And it reminds me of a story. When I was working in Chennai, we had a guest about like 2 o'clock in the morning from Lucknow, and he ordered biryani. Apparently the biryani that we were preparing in Chennai was in South Indian style, and it had tomatoes. To get his feedback of the biryani, the first question he asked me was, "You have tomatoes to the biryani?" So now you know the difference. I'll just add in a little water. Just to ensure the ginger garlic is cooked well, and secondly it doesn't burn. Here, in the meanwhile, the rice is almost cooked. I'll just keep here for about 30 seconds, and then we are going to strain it off immediately. And there is something essential that I prepared this afternoon, was the fried onions. They were salted first, and I left it like that for about like an hour. You can keep it longer if you want. Then squeeze out the water and then deep fry. That's it. Now the rice is done, so I will strain it off. Just make sure that you don't burn yourself. This is the way I like to do. And keep your face away from the steam. And let it stay like this for about 15-20 minutes, and then give it a good stir. Now let's focus on the lamb. The ginger garlic paste is cooked by now. What I will add is a teaspoon of chili powder, I'm using the Kashmiri chili powder, which is going to give me some color. If you prefer, you can go for the spicy one. Now I'll add in the goat meat chunks. I prefer meat on the bone compared to meat off the bone because that imparts some flavor. Now the idea is to cook the meat about 75%. You don't want to cook it completely because the rest will be cooked in the oven, or if you prefer charcoal, I'll just add in a little water. All I can promise, it's smelling amazing. And if you follow this process, I'm sure your biryani is going to turn out amazing actually. So the process or the way I'm doing, it's simplified version, not a lot of spices. It's as simple as that. I'm not using any store-bought spices here or rather spice mix. Sometimes you see biryani masala or biryani spices. Just as you saw the red chili powder, garam masala powder, and that's it. I will bring it to a boil and then pressure cook about 10 minutes. Should be enough, but that again depends on the quality of the meat that you have. If you find the meat which is quite old, then it's going to take some time. If you find it a young kid, or rather if you use lamb, maybe it will take you 10-15 minutes. It all depends on the age of the meat. And to go along with the biryani, I've already prepared the raita, which is in the fridge. About 180, I'm just cooking for 2 person, so about 180 grams of yogurt. I have about 80 grams of cucumber, all diced. Tomato about 60 grams diced. Onion about 30 grams diced. A few sprigs of mint leaves, finely chopped. Salt as per your taste. A pinch of sugar, some cream, a spoon or two. If you don't want it, you don't add cream, and some cumin powder, a pinch or two again, and then let it stay in the fridge for about half an hour. The more you keep, or the longer you keep, it's going to impart more flavor So the meat has already come to a boil. What I do now, I put on the lid and let it cook for, as I said, 10-15 minutes. I'll see you after 10-15 minutes. Thank you. Okay, so welcome back. The goat has been cooking for about 15 minutes. This is how it looks now. Now what we will do, we'll take the meat out, put it in a pot. Now, first we'll put the potatoes. This is just fried. It is not well cooked yet. So potatoes in. Just bear in mind, I'm cooking this for just myself and my wife. So if you want to make it for a lot, of course, you'll need a lot of potatoes in here. The potatoes are only added in Kolkata biryani, not anywhere else in India, as far as I know. The story goes like, when people could not afford to buy meat, they would add potatoes. And then this next part is, let's strain the juices off. You will come across recipes of biryani like you have to do layers of meat, rice. No, I don't do it that way. I learned it this way, and this is the way I like to make biryani. Okay, now the rice. So what will happen once this steam, or rather once the juice starts boiling in the oven, because I'm going to finish the cooking of the biryani in the oven. It will kind of cook the rest of the meat, the rice, and the potatoes as well. Now, I'll add some fried onions on top. This is the saffron steeped in warm milk with a few drops of rose essence. Again, if you have rose water, you use rose water, not rose essence. Just randomly I put it on top. A few drops of sweet edible ether. We get mostly in India. I'm not sure if you'll get anywhere for my international viewers. Even in the Middle East, I've not seen it. That's it, not too much. Okay. Some garam masala powder. Some mint leaves. And some grated nutmeg. And then the quintessential ghee. I melted the ghee then there you go. Now for sealing the pot, many chefs are, I would rather say biryani experts, they would recommend you to cover it with the dough, the edges, and then you seal it, and then you put on the cover. So that way you seal all the aromas or fragrance of biryani. Again, it's up to you. Some of them, they just put a thin sheet of dough on top, brush it with egg or melted butter, and then bake it in the oven. I use the inexpensive aluminum foil, and it really seals all the aromas of the biryani. So I'm just going to seal it tightly, as tightly as possible. Just to make sure that the steam stays in the pot, doesn't release. And then I put the lid on top. The oven is hot already, about 160 degrees. So it will stay in the oven for about half an hour. And then I put on the timer. No, rather 25 minutes would be enough. Or rather, yeah, I keep it for half an hour. And that's it. I'll see you after half an hour once the biryani is done. Okay, it has been cooking for a while. I was busy with my games also. So let me take the biryani out. I hope it's cooked by now. The smell of the biryani, oh, it's heavenly. So what you need to do now is just give it a quick stir. Oops. I love biryani. And that's it. So we just put it on the plate. Make sure we have the quintessential potato on each plate. And if you want to make Hyderabadi biryani, one of the traditional garnish is boiled egg. So if you fancy a boiled egg, why not? In Emirates, in Middle East, for example, the biryani is garnished with fried raisins and cashew nut. However, I'm going to top it up with some fried onions. And the raita has been plated already. This is the cucumber raita. As I said, it's mixed with onion, tomato, and cucumber. Some hint of cumin powder, chopped mint, and that's it. Et voilà, bon appétit.